Today on Locked On Red Wings, Cam Talbot steals a win in Toronto as Detroit sweeps the head-to-head.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Scotty, the Detroit Red Wings win 3-2 in an early Monday matinee game, getting outshot 40-15, an ugly win, game they didn't deserve to win, but thanks to Cam Talbot, who is very easily going to be a difference maker when we talk about that in a moment. They sneak away with the win, thankfully. Other things happen in this game as well. Again, ugly game. Red Wings were heavily outplayed, lots of turnovers, some growing pains for the youth finally as well. And of course, the Lucas Raymond injury we will talk about, as well as a couple of Red Wings firsts. But before we get to any of that, got to let you guys know that this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Scotty, why don't you explain to the people why Cam Talbot is a difference maker?
It was funny. I was kind of like game planning how we wanted to tackle that, because it's just, I mean, it's just so painfully obvious, that he's the biggest difference maker in this game. And so I was gonna make like a joke where I was like, let me go first so that I can say Cam Talbot, so that you have to somehow scrap together some other difference maker that's not in fact Cam Talbot. But yeah, I mean, if you're talking about the number one biggest impact player on the ice in this game, it's pretty comfortably Cam Talbot, who played out of his mind in this game. Even the two goals he allowed, they were like I don't want to say softies, but they were weird just because they weren't full. Those things weren't rifled in there at 90 miles an hour off the stick. Like they were just like, oh, we're gonna flick it at the net because that's all we can really do is just try to. I mean, one was a great behind the back pass and whatever. But anyway, he was fantastic. He deserves a ton of credit for this win. And yeah, I literally think they do not win this game if he does not put up the performance that he did. The Wings got outshot by almost 30 and yet are walking out of there with a regulation win at that. I mean, ended up getting the game winner with 40 seconds left. So yeah, fantastic performance from him. And now, more of an off day discussion, but we're 3 games into the season. Talbot's played 2 of them and he's 2-0.
Yes. And you're right. They do not win this hockey game without Cam Talbot putting up the performance that they do. It's kind of, I don't know if funny is the right word. Interesting, I guess. They outplay Toronto so hard in the first game and win. This game, they didn't deserve to win this hockey game. They were outshot 40-15. They were chasing the entire time. They couldn't keep up. So many different turnovers. Cam Talbot saved the day. And you need to be able to rely on your goaltender to win you a game every now and again. Now, you cannot continually do that, but it's all right for every once in a while for your team to rely on your goalie to steal you a win. And it's really nice to see Cam Talbot steal you a win. He actually did that almost bar for bar. Same performance as the 3-0 40-save performance he made against the Predators early last season. I think that was their second game of the season for Detroit. It was their second home game, at least. So early on, back-to-back years, Cam Talbot's been able to save and win you games. You cannot continually rely on 38-year-old Cam Talbot to do so, but it's all right for it to happen every now and again. And I will push back on you a little bit. I don't think either of those games, I know you were saying they weren't softies, but they definitely weren't softies, right? Like the one was a backdoor pass to Nyes. He was wide open. He just had to chip it home. The other one was a turnover by ASP that, like you said, was a phenomenal, like kind of behind the back pass to find Yarncroc. Like they were both really well constructed
I
plays
meant
off
like
Red Wings.
literally soft shots. I didn't mean soft in terms of like they
velocity.
were fantastic plays set up. They just were soft wristers, but who cares? Yeah.
Right. Goal saved above expected of 1.27. It says they should have allowed at least one more goal, if not a little bit more, based on the shot volume and shot difficulty he faced. I mean, what else is there to say? Cam Talbot was the reason why the Red Wings are 2-1 right now. He's the reason why the Red Wings won the home and home against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So thank your goalies. Scotty,
Yes.
if I were to have a second difference maker, and I do, I always do.
Wow. He's so prepared, everybody. Truly.
It would be like 80-20. Maybe 90-10 on this one. Like 90% obviously Talbot. But if I were to give it to somebody else.
Maybe 95-5. Maybe
right.
98-2.
It'd be depth scoring. And I just wanted to highlight it because it's such a big deal to this Red Wings squad, because last year they had none. Like absolutely zero. Well, in this game, especially after Raymond went down, like you lost one of your best offensive producers. You needed the goals to come from somewhere. It came from James Van Riemsdyk in his first game in a Red Wings uniform, getting a breakaway and just a filthy goal, going from his backhand back to his forehand to kind of wrist it right over the shoulder of Stolarz, going back the other way. And then Mason Appleton, while technically elevated to the top line. So I don't know if you qualify that as a depth goal, but he's a depth player who got elevated, and he was following the cycle, went to his spot and got rewarded off a block off Matthews that came to his stick, and he just rifled it home with less than a minute left to give the Red Wings the lead. The Red Wings, this was kind of like the Red Wings Montreal Canadiens game, but they're the ones. They were Montreal in this situation. Heavily outshot, heavily outplayed, but when they got their opportunities in this game, they took advantage. And again, they can't play like this again. They cannot continually play like this. But it is all right every once in a while to bank one of these. Like, to have your goalie carry the play, to get a little lucky, because at the end of the day, like, it's still a win. An ugly win is still a win all the same. So, cannot continually rely on this, but good enough all the same.
You're not playing the Sharks either. Like, this is this is
Toronto Maple Leafs.
This is the Leafs on the road. In Toronto on Canadian Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving for all of our Canadian Red Wings fans. But you know what I mean? Like it's that's not a gimme. We're gonna take that any way we can, and we're certainly not gonna complain about a win in those circumstances. At Toronto, that is an incredibly. There were a lot of years where that was something that never happened for the Red Wings. So we're going to take them any way we can get them and not really be too picky about it. But yeah, obviously the Leafs were got, again, double, if not over double the amount of opportunities to score that the Wings did. And that's, again, you want to pick the two biggest differences. It's obviously Talbot, and then it's two of the goals from depth, what traditionally are bottom six players for this team this year. And yeah, it is pretty clearly the two biggest differences in this game.
Well, and stealing that win is so massive, too, because there's been a lot talked about the start of the season for the Detroit Red Wings, right? You look at the first 6 games, and it's Montreal, Toronto, Florida, Tampa, Edmonton. Like, 2 teams that have gone to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. Actually, one went to back-to-back-to-back. The other one went to back-to-back. Tampa Bay, who's won back-to-back cups not that long ago. And then Toronto, who is a regular season powerhouse, and Montreal, who made the playoffs last year. Like, getting out to a good start goes a long way to putting your best foot forward. And these are teams you got to beat if you're aspiring to be a playoff team, which Detroit is. Winning both these games against Toronto guarantees you at least a season split against them, because you only have 2 games left in the entirety of the schedule against Toronto. You're guaranteed at least a series split, a season split rather. So, ugly game, great win. We'll say that. Scotty, we'll go to segment 2. And when we return, I think we should kind of dive right into the Raymond conversation, because I think that is the second biggest storyline outside of Talbot. Maybe is the biggest storyline, even with Talbot's tremendous performance, before we get back into the game itself. Stay tuned to segment 2 of Locked On Red Wings. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. You're going to love using FanDuel because it's going to give you so many ways to play. You can build parlays, try player props, and even follow the live lines during the game. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Segment 2, Lockdown Red Wings podcast. All right, Scotty, Lucas Raymond was hit from behind-ish again by Chris Tanev in the second period. He kind of turned into it, unfortunately. He was just trying to turn and pivot away, and that's when Tanev caught him. He went shoulder first into the half wall. It looked like just below his shoulder, kind of made direct contact with the lip of the half wall itself. And he was wincing. He went to the bench, inevitably went down the locker room, and then did not return for the rest of the game. Post-game, Scotty, McClellan said that they don't have an update on Raymond yet. He said it looked like an innocent enough play, but they'll have to do evaluations before they can give us more. But, Scotty, is it too insane to say that if Raymond is out for any amount of time, like longer than 5-10 games, that really, really hurts this hockey team and their aspirations of making the playoffs?
I mean, yeah, of course. I think it would be disingenuous to not acknowledge that. There are obviously a lot of varying degrees of that, right? Like if they can muster together a 500 stretch when he's out, then you keep your head above water. If he's out for the entire season, then obviously that becomes much different. We have no clue. I mean, it could be he's back literally when they play
right
tomorrow, for all we know. I mean, who knows? But yeah, obviously it's a massive loss if you lose him for a significant amount of time. And I'm not a doctor, so I'm just going to cross my fingers and hope that he isn't out for a significant amount of time.
Right. I mean, if he's out for a significant amount of time, that could be the difference between making the playoffs and not. That's how significant of a loss losing Lucas Raymond is, and I don't think it's insane to say that because he was your points leader last year. He was the first Red Wing in over a decade, to have 80 points, and he was at large points of last season over a 90-point pace before Four Nations, where he got banged up and then played through it and slumped in this, in February and March. So, yeah, losing him would be a big deal, but yes, also, we don't know the extent of it yet, and so we have to sit here and just cross our fingers. Now, I'm going to release this early on Monday evening, right? Earlier than I would for a Tuesday episode, just because the game happened so early. So maybe between now and when the Wednesday episode drops, which would be Wednesday at midnight, so it's a day and a half, basically, we learn more and things are positive, and that's what we hope for. But just thinking of Lucas Raymond right now as we move forward. Scotty, getting back to the hockey game at hand, the 3-2 Detroit Red Wings win over the Toronto Maple Leafs. Notable performers in this hockey game, both good and bad. What stood out to you?
I mean, we can talk about the youth. I think that there was I want to get to a point in the season, and 2 games in, 3 games in, we're probably not there yet, but I want to get to a point where we don't just group all of the rookies together with our analysis. At some point that, some are going to
start separating themselves.
Right. They're going to separate themselves from each other to an extent, but I understand it this early in the season. I mean, ASP, you already mentioned the turnover. McClellan talked about it after the game, said that he has no worries about ASP long-term, and he's going to be fine and good. And turnover, that those kind of learning curves and turnovers happen. And he actually said, if anything, ASP is too hard on himself at this point in his career and with, his personality. So, I wasn't a great play, obviously cost the team But again, they were still able to walk out of there with a win, and I still believe in the future of what ASP could bring to this team. So, like,
You're not saying he's a bust after one turnover?
right. Like, I saw some wild takes out there. So,
I agree with you. It is funny. Like, you're right. Right now, we kind of just lump them all together. But, and yeah, Michael brandsegg-nygard and Axel Sandin Pellikka both had some really bad turnovers in this hockey game, but they were not alone. JVR had some terrible turnovers.
sure.
The entire team played like dog water in this hockey game, and they stole the victory. Like, they kept turning pucks over, in the corners, at the blue line. They were chasing. They were never ahead of the play, right? They were never the first ones of the puck. It was what felt like the Montreal game was, but they were the team that got rewarded with the more of the goals. It was just one of those weird games. But yeah, this was the first game where the youth probably, and more so MBN and ASP to me, struggled. Actually, analytically, ASP and Edvinson's pair got pretty caved in this hockey game. But I would rather, and I know I'm far from the only person who shares this sentiment, but I would rather watch MBN and ASP go through those growing pains live than watch a vet make those mistakes. You know what I mean? Like, we knew that games like this
too.
And play, yes, they weren't going to come in here and be perfect.
Like, right. Just left him in Grand Rapids, for 6 more months or 4 more months or whatever. Then the growing pains of being promoted to the NHL just wouldn't magically happen. Like, no.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Lucas Raymond.
Point, and if you can do it in a win against the Maple Leafs, then I'm gonna be a pretty happy camper. If it gets to a point where some combination of the three of them are actively costing this team, like,
right,
a ton of wins, then obviously it's a different conversation. But so far, they've only really brought positive attributes to the team.
Correct. And, I remember either Raymond's first or second year, he was out there in overtime and he turned the puck over in the defensive zone. And then the Blackhawks, I think it was, ended up winning the hockey game. And Raymond turned out just fine. So it's like, these mistakes are going to happen. And on top of that, guess what? They had a rough game. Everyone did. But we're, singling out the youth because it's been such a talking point for us. It's not that they were the reasons why the Red Wings played so bad. They were just part of everyone playing poorly. But they played poorly and their Wings still won. So it's kind of like, yeah, they got the growing pains out of the way. And there's going to be more. It's not like, okay, they had their bad game for the season, then that's it. But they were able to get away with it.
Wish.
Right. And obviously ASP knows that he messed up, and MBN knows those turnovers can't, continue. So I'm okay with it. It's fine. I want to see those mistakes happen because that's the only way they're going to learn and get better. Emmett Finney did have a secondary assist on this, so now he's got 2 points in 3 games. He got a secondary assist on Mason Appleton's goal. That beautiful cycle between him, Larkin, Sherratt that Mason Appleton ended up capitalizing on. So just wanted to bring that up. Dylan Larkin also scored in this hockey game, Scotty, and that was just pure net front work. He was just digging for the puck, was able to finally get it, kick it to himself, and then just falling to the ground, a backhand shot that beats Delars. Second goal of the season for Dylan Larkin. I just wanted to give a shout out to Larkin for the dog mentality goal that he scored in this one.
Man, that goal was crazy, man. Literally just heaved it over his shoulder. And it's crazy to me that that is a testament to how good these guys are at hockey.
Right.
Like, he just no look flings it over his shoulder. And it's not only a goal, it's like perfectly placed top shelf over the shoulder of the goalie. Like,
right.
Just absolutely disgusting. Yeah, I mean, honestly, the biggest takeaway I had, in the moment from that, and Larkin talked about it, he brought it up 2 separate times in the first period intermission interview with, I think it was Daniela Bruce, said that the ice was terrible. Just blatantly called out Toronto's ice. It was like, yeah, it's just not good ice. The puck's bouncing all over the place. It was stuck at my feet during that play, like whatever. So, in the moment, like in game mode, that's kind of the biggest takeaway I had from that was just, all right, they're gonna have to figure out a way to win this hockey game on apparently some allegedly subpar conditions out there on the ice. But Larkin's amazing and is kind of the motor. So
I always love when players complain about that, like both teams aren't playing on the same ice conditions. It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
the ice is crappy, but Toronto's out there too, and they're dominating you. So, I
right.
mean, how big of an excuse can you use that as? Scotty, let's head to a quick break. When we return, let's talk a little bit about special teams. Stay tuned to Locked On Red Wings. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDON at LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNHL. Segment 3, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty, and that's something we've talked a heck of a lot about here early on in the season just because there's been a lot to break down in every single game, win or lose. But we find ourselves with a little bit of time here at the end of this episode. Special teams in this game was perfect for Detroit. Perfect, I guess, isn't the best word. But they went 1 for 4 on the power play, 25% completion percentage, 2 for 2 on the PK as well. And I believe that's back-to-back games for Detroit. I'd have to double-check on that, where their penalty kill is perfect. And that is a very good penalty kill very good power play with one of the most lethal shooters in the NHL. So getting back-to-back perfect games on the penalty kill, I think, is even more massive than the power play continuing to get like a goal a game, essentially.
For sure, yeah. The focus is going to be on the penalty kill for a long period of time here this year, until either people are confident in it again or just until the season ends. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's great. There was still a handful of high danger shots. I think Talbot bailed them out a couple of times. Matthews hit post at some point on a power play at one, in this game. And again, like Talbot was an absolute freak of nature. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not going to complain about a 100% kill night. That's always going to be a plus. And this team needs a lot more of those, I think, before people are like, oh, like the kill is like maybe decent this year, but yeah, good start for sure.
Incredibly short sample size, so we should not get too far ahead of ourselves, but I think it is also fair to say it is trending in the right direction.
For sure.
Red Wings power play is currently sitting 7th in the league at 25%. They're literally 1 for 4 in 3 games. Not literally 1 for 4. They're literally 25%, a quarter of their power plays they score on. And then their penalty kill is currently at 13th with 85.7%. So, again, incredibly small sample size, so don't get too excited over that. But you can definitely still say it's trending in the right direction, which is something that we as Red Wings fans desperately wanted to see. Scotty, I'm trying to think, this was... When there's games like this, right, just so ugly, there's almost like not a ton you can say about the game itself other than, man, they turned the puck over a lot. Is there any other notable performers or performances you want to point out? We have a little bit of extra time here before the end of the episode. This is one of the few times in our lives we have extra time because we both yap so much.
You say that. I'm not convinced until we hit end record. But I mean, we can talk about Appleton. You mentioned depth scoring kind of as a general concept earlier, but that was obviously a beauty. The cycling you mentioned was a huge factor in that. We already talked plenty about JVR. I have a question just in regards to the lineup construction. If Raymond does miss time, what on earth does the top line look like? Right?
Appleton was an interesting choice by me, and I think for McClellan, he wanted to go with a trusty vet in that situation to try and help, close out a game.
Especially mid-game.
But, I mean, if we're talking highest upside, I think the choice is pretty obvious, but it'd be a dangerous gamble to go with it. Larkin, MBN, and Finney. 2 rookies on the top line make me incredibly nervous, but if you're talking offensive upside, like I can't think of it getting much higher than that. I mean, you could Patrick Kane, but you don't want to break up DeBrincat, and you could put, I suppose what you could do is put Larkin with Kane and DeBrincat in that case, and just have that be your true top line. That would make a lot of sense. You put maybe Finney with Casper and somebody else, MBN in that case. It's tough too because JVR is also an option. And this is where it is a little nicer. Offensive depth is a lot better. There are a lot of guys who can move up temporarily and be serviceable.
Right.
But without Appleton, it gets thin real fast. So, I'm sorry, not without Appleton. Without Raymond, it gets thin real fast. So, I also would like to see, assuming Raymond's health is, good to go, at least soon-ish, that fourth line still, like Rasmussen just isn't a center. I would not mind bumping Appleton up or JVR up to the third line to not necessarily demote Comfer, but be like, hey, Comfer, like we're putting you on the fourth line because you're going to give us a better center position, bumping Rasmussen to the wing. And just kind of, because I think Appleton and JVR play a similar enough game to what that third line is currently running to also still be the same, keep the same identity. So that fourth line, it's only 12 minutes a night, so it's not the end of the world that they're not very effective. You still want them to not get caved in. But that's just me thinking out loud after 3 games.
I think that's fair. And I think, honestly, a big factor in all that is at what point they are comfortable, if there is a point, they're comfortable giving JVR, significantly more minutes.
Right, because he did score
everything.
He did score a really good goal, but I don't think he had a particularly good game. There are some couple really bad turnovers early in the game. But again, well, you know what? I'm going to get on my pedestal. I thought Sherratt and Sider had a good game. I did. Yeah. Sider played 26 minutes again, and he and Sherratt were tasked with doing what they always do, holding the fort, and obviously Talbot was chief fort holder in this game, but Sider and Sherratt were chief fort holder in this game. But Sider and Sherratt had a really good game as well, I thought. Moritz Sider had 3 takeaways. He had a blocked shot. He threw a hit as well in 26 minutes, 3:46 on the power play, 58 seconds on the PK. They ask a lot of Moritz Sider, and I thought he had a pretty good game. He finished a +2 as well. Not that we personally take a lot from plus-minus, but hey, if it fits your narrative.
If it fits the narrative, baby.
If it fits the narrative. Yeah, okay. Scotty, I'm satisfied. You got anything else to add?
No, I don't think so, man. Well, I think you said it best, earlier. Ugly game, good win. So,
ugly game, good win. We'll be back with a new episode tomorrow previewing the game against the Florida Panthers. So stay tuned to that. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.
Every day.